Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Abby and I like to talk about spooky things. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 22 terrifying TikToks. If you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, click the subscribe button down below, and turn post notifications so you never miss a video. I post every Sunday and most Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. And while you're at it, please check out my Instagram and TikTok. I am a special effects makeup artist, and every year in October, I do a series called 13 Days of Strotober, where I do a crazy Halloween series of makeup looks. So that is coming up soon. So if you like these spooky videos, I have a feeling you'll like my spooky makeup content. So please check me out over there. And without further ado, let's get right on into the video. Our first two TikToks are with the user Painted Creek Farm.
Story time about the thing that lives in my woods. When we moved here 8 years ago, we had like a teeny tiny front yard and it was just the house. Everything else was woods. We live on 6.5 acres, which is not a huge property, but it is completely surrounded by woods. Here's a picture of what our property looks like. A little while after we moved here, I told my husband, I just feel really dark. I feel really heavy. I've always been kind of in tune with the other side. I never really wanted to accept it or leaned into it or anything, but I just felt it. I told him, like, I need to see the sky. I need to see some sun. We need to do something. He went through, of course, and started clearing woods for me. We built a horse barn, had pastures, brought my horses in, and I'm out one morning early. It was like just before dawn. I'm in the feed room. I'm on my phone, not really paying attention. I hear somebody call my name, which if you saw the other picture, not possible. My husband was at work, kids were sleeping, nobody was around. But I answered because I wasn't really paying attention or thinking about that. It's dead silent. And I realized, like, wait a minute, like there's nobody around that would be calling me. What was that? That was the first time that really made me realize that I can't deny, like, there's something present, right? Then I started just kind of paying attention. Noticed that when I would be walking back from the barn, which I had always felt really heavy, like something was following me, watching me, whatever, when I was walking back from the barn, like something was behind me. Started noticing that all of my animals, I have 2 black barn cats and then my dog, right where I would really feel this presence, they were cutting between me and this area. They would be walking on my right side, this spot is on the left side, and they would like damn near run into me to cut over and be in between me and the space. And it's every time, like without fail, they will like run into my legs. This winter, I'm out feeding my pigs one night. It was starting to get dark. It was almost dusk and I hear a goat crying in the woods. I knew all of my goats were up. I knew that there wasn't a goat in the woods and it was like calling to me. I didn't pay it any mind. There is a big plantation. There's a big farm down the road that has people. It's like a state park now. We were there one day and I heard the same goat in the woods while we were walking to the beach. This is in the same, attached to the same woods that this property is. Another time, I was out watching my goats. They were in labor and I heard my dog, who was in the house. My dog I've had for 10 years, my best friend, I heard him in the woods. So much so I went in and asked my husband, like, is Boomer outside? He's literally laying on the couch. Then this winter again, I'm out feeding my cows one morning and our UPS man had just dropped off a package and he was driving out and I waved to him and he stopped and he's like, have you ever seen anything out here? I said, no, but I feel things. He said, the other night I'm dropping stuff off. It was like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. This is during Christmas. So they were doing like late runs. And he's like, I saw a woman, like an old timey woman in like an apron and a bonnet, walking across your driveway. Like she was all white, I don't think she was real, but I just was wondering, like, if you have seen anything too. He's like, yeah, he's like, it feels a little eerie coming out here at night. I said, yeah, I agree. Not by the house, but in the woods. My dog did go missing for like 5 hours after he had his eyes removed. His name is Boomer. He doesn't have any eyes. I stupidly went out into the woods and I told it, I need my dog back. Like, you have to give me my dog back. And in 30 minutes, my dog was found. So do with that what you will. I don't know what's here. If you have any discourse or discussion in the comments, please be respectful of other cultures. I don't know what it is, but I know what it's not. We are in Virginia, so I'm sure it's not what you're thinking it is. Whatever it is, mimics animals to try and lure my animal-loving self out into the woods. I don't know what this thing is. I am only talking about it because it's daytime. I will not talk about this at night. I haven't even told many people. I've told my husband. Whatever it is, if you have any ideas of how to get rid of it, please let me know. Since we brought in the animals, everything has been a whole lot lighter, so I think that it has been pushed back away from the house. We have eagles and hawks that live here on the property, and I think that they help too. We also have owls, and they all nest here and hopefully keep us safe, or maybe they're doing us harm. I don't know, but that's my story time of whatever it is that lives in our woods, and if you have any ideas, please let me know. Bye! Hey, I had no idea that video was going to blow up the way it did. Thank you for all of your suggestions and for getting it out there. Wanted to go through and clear up a few things. Number one, I don't live in Appalachia. We are on the other side of Virginia. Number two, yes, I responded originally. I wasn't paying attention, obviously. I know better than that, but it is what it is at this point. Yes, I responded. Number three, I'm not going to be giving it anything, telling it anything, asking for anything. It's been semi-peaceful. It hasn't done anything negative, so we're just going to keep that same energy going. Until I know exactly what it is, I won't be playing any games with it. Yes, I asked it for my dog back, but I was desperate. That dog is my best friend. There's been a lot of discourse about what it is. Some people are swearing it's one thing, others are swearing it's another thing. A lot of people agree on one thing. I know that it's not the bad version of an SW, not even in the right area for that. Please stop saying that word just all willy-nilly. I will warn you, this is just a lot of farm content. I'm not a storytelling type of person. I like sharing homesteading tips and tricks, raising our own meats. So if that's not your thing, totally get it. You don't have to stay. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for giving me your advice. If anything changes, if I have any more updates, I will let you know. But at this time, there's really nothing to tell. So thanks. Bye, guys.
I definitely don't like the sound of something pretending to be animals to lure her out into the forest. But other than that, I don't know, it sounds kind of just like the forest being the forest. I truly believe that forests and things have secrets and things that we can't even imagine going on in them. I feel like nature in itself is just full of secrets. I feel like the fact that they gave her dog back shows that it's not a negative entity that's surrounding her house necessarily, unless, and I hate to say this, it like comes to collect one day, like it wants a favor from her or something, which I don't want to manifest that, don't want that to happen, but I think it is a good sign that it sent her dog back to her when he got lost in the woods. I mean, that's huge to me. I don't know what would happen if Oscar disappeared on me. My life would truly be over, and I'm literally not being dramatic in the slightest when I say that. He's actually currently munching away on his dinner, so I apologize if you could hear that in the background. He is the slowest eater in the history of the world, but I love him. One other thing though that like kind of throws me off is the fact that her animals get weirded out by like a certain section. When she mentioned that part, that is also strange. She does say that she is not in Appalachia, but I think with any large piece of land, especially when it is the woods, the same rules should apply. If you hear something, no you didn't. If you see something, no you didn't. I think we should all be wary and aware of the things that can be lurking out amongst the trees just for our own safety. So I don't know, it doesn't feel as spooky to me as other, like, again, not Appalachia, but Appalachian videos where similar occurrences happen. Maybe it's just because she kind of has like a lighthearted tone about it, but I feel like it's just kind of like the woods being the woods. As long as she minds her business, the things out there will as well. Our next TikToks for these are Real Horror Talk.
So here's a pretty convincing video I saw making the rounds, but I feel like it deserves a bit more attention. Basically, this group of nurses are exploring the haunted floor in their hospital, and it turned out to be a bad idea.
I felt you were like, it's just freaky. You guys wave in the camera right now. Reflection.
They like see me? God, I feel like I'm gonna see.
Oh, that's the same room.
Oh. God,
Oh. What?
why are you looking? Oh, lights are on.
That's
Go
weird.
in.
Oh.
Go in.
I wanna go in. No, go in.
Go in. Go in. Figure out why the lights on. I don't like
Who
that.
cares
I
why
don't
the
like
lights
that.
are on?
Do it.
They look like evil eyes. You guys can come with me.
Yeah, of
Go
course
in.
we're gonna go in with you.
Thanks. Ooh, this feels weird. Is that you?
Yeah.
This room feels weird. I don't like this. Ooh. The curtain moved.
No, it did.
Yeah, it did. It moved.
No,
It moved.
it
It
didn't.
moved. Yes, it did.
Why would a
It
curtain
did.
move?
How did you not see that? Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
I love haunted hospital videos. I was on the edge of my seat. I was just waiting for something to jump out at any second. I feel like maybe the ghosts are just like tired of it, so they'll like do something to freak people out and get them together. Like, here, you have what you wanted, like, go now. I feel like that's the energy that this kind of gives. Our next TikToks with user King Riddle 914.
Can I play with you? Hey, can you play with me? Sure, I'll play with you. Why don't you play with me? Yeah. Bling, bling, bling. Bling, bling, bling. Bling, 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 bling. Let's go. Let's go.
I feel like this can't be real, but also it looks real, but also it's so crazy. It can't be real, right? And regardless if this is real or not, this is like my biggest fear as a child. I would like leap into bed. I get like a running start and jump into bed because I was so afraid of something grabbing me. I would never look under my bed in the nighttime hours. I mean, quite frankly, I had so much junk under my bed. It was like, under my bed was my junk drawer as a kid, that there was no room for anything to be hiding under there, but yet I was convinced that somehow there was something under there. And as an adult, I have a bed frame that has drawers in it, so nothing can be hidden under my bed. Like, there's obviously stuff in my drawers. It's nice because it's extra storage. I need all the storage I can get because I have too much stuff. But I specifically got a bed frame with drawers, so I don't have to worry about jumping into bed and being like the loser as an adult who's afraid of what's hiding under the bed. I mean, I guess technically I am, but now I'm not because nothing can hide under my bed. Our next TikTok's with the user Spow415.
Dude, what is that? Dude, what is that?
This video could very easily be someone just standing over there to make this video, but it's eerie nonetheless. I mean, seeing something like that off in the distance while you were alone at night on like a desolate beach, I think the wind blowing just really adds to the eerie factor. And also, maybe it's just me, but I have a fear of like oceans due to the fact that you could just like disappear, and God knows what is at the bottom of those things. Like, big open bodies of water are alarming to me. So I feel like being in proximity of a creepy thing near a body of water where you could just disappear kind of adds to the fear there. Our next TikToks with user Ahmed M. Zidane.
If you don't believe in some form of higher power or the supernatural, you will believe after this story. Yesterday, I bumped into someone that told me a story that left me with goosebumps for the rest of the day. I bumped into this random stranger. He's an Indian gentleman, and he we had this conversation, and I don't know, I think there's something about talking to strangers that just makes you open up with no limits, and I think it's just because you're never going to see them again, so there's like a place of safety that there's not going to be much judgment, and if there is, it's not going to cause an issue because you'll never see them again. But yeah, so he is like, do you want to hear something crazy? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, he puts his hands in his phone, grabs his phone, looks at something, he's like, I gotta show you. And then shows me his phone, and he shows me like a completely destroyed airplane, like some Air India airplane. And I'm like, okay. I'm sorry, I'm not following. So he goes like, that was 2 days ago. I was in India, in like Ahmedabad or something, and he's like, I was supposed to go on this airplane, but I went to a temple, and I met this guy that we're gonna call the sage. I met the sage in the temple, and I instantly felt safe with him. So something in my chest told me to reschedule this flight and volunteer with this gentleman for 1 day. He's like, I talked to the guy, he started telling me things about my kids and how they're gonna be safe and that he's gonna watch over them. And then I called the company, they didn't want me to reschedule, they're like, you have to do it on your own and buy a new ticket or whatever, so he did do that and spent the rest of the day with the gentleman. I guess the company calls him later and they're like, how did you know? And he's like, no, what? They're like, do you not have any access to news? And he's like, no, I'm in a temple. So they tell him that basically this aircraft crashed, I think, and like 420 people lost their lives and only one person walked out of it, but 2 people rescheduled right before the aircraft, like right before the flight. So the guy is stunned that he like dodged death just by hours. And then he goes back to the temple to talk to the sage and he can't find him, and he's looking everywhere and he's not there. So he talks to the other people in the temple, and the people are like, we wanted to be nice and we didn't want to scare you or make you feel some type of way, but we only ever saw you talk to yourself the whole time you were here. I don't know what to say. I was stunned by this. The guy was stunned by this. He's like, nothing like that ever happened to me. But that gentleman that only he saw saved his life. And he was in the temple the whole time and nobody else saw him. Make this make sense.
This reminds me of all of those stories you hear of like someone decided to go to Walgreens and get a Snickers bar instead of going into work on 9/11, and they ended up not being in the building when the planes hit. There's a thing called burnt toast theory where it's like you get annoyed by a minor inconvenience, like your toast burning in the morning, so you need to take an extra 2 minutes to make another piece, but those 2 minutes that you left later saved you from getting in an accident. And it's like everything happens for a reason, and that little inconvenience was there to make sure you weren't at the place where you'd be injured or die or something. This is very much giving that. And I use this theory as a practice of like, if something's annoying me or if I'm stuck in traffic and I'm about to be a couple minutes late, instead of freaking out and getting all worked up, I try to tell myself like, this is happening for a reason, like it's meant to happen. I'll get there when I get there. You know, obviously I don't use it as an excuse to be late to things, but you know, if traffic builds up and time changes and you're about to be a couple minutes late, instead of freaking out, be like, maybe this is supposed to happen. Maybe you know, turning into the building on time, I would have gotten into an accident, you know? So this is very much giving that I think, not to say that tragedies when people do get on the plane and it crashes or something, not to say that it's like they're supposed to die, but I mean, the world does work in mysterious ways, and it's a shame that bad things ever happen to anyone. But I think when there are situations where you're like, oh my God, I was supposed to be on that plane. Like, you were meant to not get on that plane. Your intuition kind of helped intervene there, and I think that that's what happened here. Our next TikTok spookies are Holly Keela 2.
Apparently Jesus is a big special effects guy because there are crucifixes that will literally only bleed during a cosmic event like a solar eclipse or a solar flare. But a crucifix bleeding in general is creepy as hell. In 1552 in Italy, French soldiers were about to sack this city when they saw a crucifix quite literally sweating and crying blood, and they noped their way out of that city. And then in Spain in the early 1900s, hundreds of witnesses saw a crucifix open its eyes and start to cry blood. They even called in the local bishop because when your crucifix starts crying blood, you want to call in the big dog. 1995, there was a Virgin Mary statue that started crying human blood. They tested the blood. It was human DNA. They still to this day cannot explain why this Virgin Mary statue started bleeding. The oldest story of a crucifix bleeding is that the Vatican has one in their secret archives, and it only bleeds during solar eclipses. Now, there's been no official documentation released on this crucifix, but researchers believe that it's tied to ancient beliefs that when there's a solar eclipse, the veil between worlds is thinned. Look, the Vatican investigates all claims of crucifixes bleeding very seriously and very slowly because they've seen this in the past. Some believers, including myself, say certain items are being hidden by the Vatican because they're too dangerous for us to know because they might reveal celestial patterns or reveal something bigger coming. If the Vatican does have this bleeding eclipse crucifix and it's sending us warnings about the future, that's not the only system they have to see the future. They supposedly have a TV that will show you any event in history or the future, but we can talk about that another time.
I would love to know what all the stuff that is hidden in the Vatican is. I mean, maybe I don't want to know. But like demonic, possessed, mysterious stuff, I mean, I would like that level of security clearance. I'm just so curious. I wouldn't dedicate my life to be like being in the FBI or in the Vatican just so I could get top secret information, because that seems like a lot of work. But I want to know, like, it's tempting. I'm like, maybe I should join the FBI so I can hear about Area 51 or like the CIA. It's probably the CIA. I'm like, I want to know these secrets. But also, it's like, do I really want that hanging over my head? It just, the world, like I said in my last video about how I believe that there can be any number of creatures out there that are technically mythical but aren't actually, because the world's so big, anything's possible. I mean, the things that people in power probably know about and are hiding from the rest of us is wild. So I can't imagine what is in the Vatican and what they are hiding. Our next TikTok user, Southern Bama Bell, 1184.
Crap.
Oh my Jesus, this is big.
Oh my word, y'all. This is Waverly Hill Sanatorium, the most haunted place in America. Over how many thousands of people died here?
They believe over 50,000.
Died here. They only give tours on the weekends, and we just happened to take a chance. Chris was adamant. He's like, I want to see it. We waited down here till a security guard came, and the owner's here, and they're letting us in. Privately. I am freaking out right now. Oh my heaven. This place is huge, and it is so haunted. I can just feel it.
Waverly Hills is so interesting to me. I mean, I don't know if it's actually the most haunted place in the country, but I absolutely would believe if it was like top 5, top 10. That place is insane, and I would love to visit. I would absolutely love to go on like a tour of the country and go to all these haunted places. I don't know how well I'd hold up once I'm there, but so interesting. I really, really want to do like ghost tours and stuff one day. I've literally never done that in my life, other than going to Zach Bagans' museum, which was an insane experience. I've never done something like that before, which is weird considering how interested I am. But I really want to go to here. I really want to go to Waverly Hills. It seems insane. Our next 4 TikToks are with user LXSTR1.
Okay, so I live in the Appalachian Mountains. I rent my house, and I don't know if I have a ghost or if it's some kind of Appalachian folklore that has been fucking with me, but there is no human explanation for this, so... And I have my theories, but buckle up. So for some context, I only moved out here because, one, it is way cheaper than where I was living previously, and two, I have friends down the road, so like I'm not out here completely alone, but I do live by myself, and it is just me and my dog. So within a week of moving in, I deep cleaned this house, and in doing that, I also Windexed the exterior windows. They all had a film of pollen on them, and I wanted to be able to see out my windows. Within a week of Windexing the exterior windows, and mind you, I am the only one that has been in and out of the house. I'm sitting in my living room and I'm looking out the window, and the sun is hitting the window in just the right way that I noticed two giant handprints on the outside of the window. So this handprint right here, you can see it a little bit, that's what spooked me. And then so I went outside to investigate because I was like, what the fuck? Like, I just cleaned these windows and I know that no one has been here, and they were fresh prints. Clearly these were fresh. This is the right hand and this one's the left. And no one had been at my house. And I know that nobody tried to break in because I have a Ring camera on that entrance, and in order to get to this window, you have to walk past the Ring camera. This is the layout of the deck. So right here is the door, and there's my camera right there mounted, and this is the staircase leading up to the deck, and this is the only entrance to the deck. And then where the window is along this couch right here. So whatever it was that tried to push open that window somehow got past that camera. And mind you, the camera's view goes to like right before that mat. So there's no like army crawling past it. Like if you come up that staircase, you are passing that camera. Like I don't know. So that whole situation kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I was like, you know what, I'm just going to gaslight myself and pretend that didn't happen. So I kind of just let it go, and I was like, you know what, that was weird, but maybe it was a fluke. So about a month or so after that happened, I went out of town for 5 or 6 days, and before I left, I made sure every light in the house was off, because I'm not paying for that. So upon my return, it was dark outside, and I could see from the street, before I even pulled up my driveway, that one of the guest room lights was on, and based on the light that I saw, I knew it was a lamp. So it wasn't like a switch where maybe I accidentally flicked it on instead of off. Like, no, it was a lamp. You have to crank it. So I am shitting a brick, and I pull up my driveway. I call my mom, because in case I die, like, I don't know who I'm about to walk in on in my house. I go inside, and there was nothing. There was no one, nothing, and I was like, that's weird. But once again, what did I do? I gaslit myself, and I was like, well, maybe there was like some kind of shortage and it turned the lamp on. Like, no. So after that happened, nothing weird happened for a while. Like, it was a good few months. And then in the springtime, I installed string lights on my outside deck. Again, I went out of town and I come home, and not only was the same guest bedroom light on, but the string lights were magically plugged in and they were on. I gotta stop coming home when it's dark outside. So again, I FaceTime my mom and I'm like, the string lights are on and the guest bedroom light is on. I know they were off and I know the string lights were not plugged in. Freaking out. Whatever. I go inside, check the house. No one, nothing, no explanation for it. And I'm like, well, shit, because that definitely wasn't a power surge unless the power surge levitated a plug into the wall to turn on the string lights. Also, I have cameras inside my house. I have a camera in the living room and I have a camera in the kitchen. Both of those cameras face entrances, so no one came in the house and there was nothing inside that at least the camera picked up on. So after all of that happened, I just kind of accepted the fact that my house is haunted. And I was like, you know what, whatever, maybe we can be homies. He hasn't killed me yet, so maybe we're cool. A month or so later, I had my landlord here. He was fixing the smoke detectors and stuff. And he lives in the house behind mine. Like, I could walk through my backyard to his house. Him and his wife lived there. They lived there for quite some time. And so I asked him, I was like, this weird shit's been going on. Like, do you know anything about it? Do you know any history on the house? And he was like, nah, like, we just kind of bought it sight unseen. It went up for sale. We thought it was a good opportunity, whatever. So I took it upon myself to do some digging. And sure enough, the person that owned it before my landlords died in the house. I read his obituary and it was like, so-and-so died in the house, surrounded by family, blah, 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 whatever. And the guy was old. It was nothing like crazy. No one was murdered. But he was in the Marine Corps. He was from Texas. He was a Bible thumper. And I was like, great. Like, my gay ass is being hate crime from the dead. But then I got curious because based on this guy's obituary, I wanted to know more about his background. So I looked up his kids because they were listed in the obituary. I wanted to see if any of them were still local to the area or if it was just like a one-off. I don't know why he was in fucking Appalachia. But sure enough, his son still lives in the area. And I went on his Facebook to see if I could find information about his dad who died in my house. And as I'm looking on the son's Facebook, there are pictures of the son with my landlord. So now my landlord's a liar because he did know the history of the house and he did know that someone died in it because it was his friend's dad. I'm already stuck in the lease, so like, whether you tell me or not, I'm not moving. I don't know why you weren't just honest, but anyway, so that happened. And I hear creepy shit in this house all the time. I'll hear doors creaking, but I'm like, oh, it's a draft. Or I'll hear tapping on the window and I'm like, cool, it's a bug. Like, I can just gaslight myself and it's fine. And it never really sets my dog off either. Like, the worst she'll do is just... And at most, it's for 3 minutes. And I hate when she fucking does it, because I'm like, okay, he's here in the room with us, but you're not barking, so he must be friendly, right? So after the string light incident, there was another dormant period from, like, May to July, where nothing really weird happened outside of the shit that I hear on a daily basis. But then there was this one night in the middle of July, and my dog sleeps in my bedroom with me, because I do not subject her to what goes on in the rest of the house in the dark, because if I don't want to be out there, I'm not going to make her be out there. So we sleep in my room. But this one night in the middle of July, she woke up at 3 a.m, and her hair was standing straight up on her back, and she was going berserk at whatever was on the other side of my bedroom door. And I was like, oh, fuck no. So I get up, and I lock the bedroom door. And as I'm locking it, I heard the loudest crash coming from somewhere in the house. Immediately, I check all the cameras, outside, inside, and there is nothing. But I was not about to go investigate that in the dark, so I was like, you know what, fuck it, the bedroom door is locked, let's just, like, sit here frozen in fear, because what else are we to do? And on that particular night, I had done all of my dishes, and, like, the sink was clean, there was nothing on the drying mat except for 2 Yeti tumbler cups, and they're, like, metal cups. So the next morning, I am going around the house and like, what could have crashed? Because it literally sounded like a TV fell over. It was so loud. And that's when I walked over to the sink. And in the sink, there were 2 Yeti tumbler cups sitting up perfectly. Like, someone had placed them there. And where the drying mat is in relation to my sink, it was not physically possible for those Yeti cups to roll over from the drying mat into the sink and then somehow magically land straight up side by side next to each other. Like, no. Something placed them there. And I don't know why it was that loud, but it was. I was making this video last night and then I got creeped out, so I'm just finishing it right now. So like I said, all of that happened in like mid-July, so about a month ago. And then 2 weeks after it happened, I was at my friend's house down the road, and they know about all this spooky stuff that goes on in my house. So we're sitting there talking, catching up, and they were like, oh, what's the latest ghost story? Because I always have one. And then I proceeded to tell them about what happened with the cups. So I tell them this story, and then later that night I go back home, and coincidentally enough, that night I had done the dishes, and I had placed a Yeti tumbler cup, a metal cup, on the drying mat, and the sink was completely clean. And just for a quick reference so you can understand what I'm talking about, this is where the cup was, and this is where the sink is. So keep that in mind. Then later that night, I woke up at 3 a.m. to my dog going berserk, and it was the same thing that happened before. But at the time, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. All I knew was that my dog was going crazy. I locked my bedroom door, and then I heard a loud crash somewhere in the house. And I still didn't put 2 and 2 together. So the next morning, I am looking around the house. I'm like, what the hell could have crashed? And then it dawns on me, look in the sink. Sure enough, the Yeti cup that was sitting on the drying mat was sitting up in the sink. And like, what are the odds that the night that I tell this story, it happens again, in the exact same manner? So now I'm thinking, like, well, shit, did it follow me to my friend's house and hear me tell this story and then intentionally try and freak me out again? So now I don't know if it's a ghost, a spooky Appalachian creature, or all of the above. Like, I don't know. So, help me! So the last video that I made of everything that has gone on inside of my house, that's really just, like, the major events. And I did my research before moving here. Like, I don't fuck with that spooky shit, so I did my research on the Appalachian Mountains, okay? And, like, I'm not kidding. Like, that window's covered, those windows are covered. Like, when it gets dark, I'm not looking outside, no. But genuinely, like, what rattles me the most are those handprints, and here's why. So if you look at this, I measured the window from bottom to top, whatever. It's 2 feet tall, right? And if you look at this handprint, it takes up the greater majority of the window. So, like, it was huge. And when I first moved in, I would hear scratching in the walls, and it went on every day for almost a few months. And I just chalked it up to, like, okay, it's an animal. So I had my landlord send an exterminator out here, and they didn't find anything. They checked the attic, they checked the walls, they checked the crawl space under the house, and there was nothing. So looking back at those handprints, I don't like that. And I have seen so many videos where people talk about how skinwalkers can pose as animals. And a few weeks ago, I'm sitting on my living room couch, it's probably about 1 in the morning, and the curtains were closed, and I heard a loud crash on my deck. So I opened up my Ring camera, and there was a cat on my deck. So the cat jumped this gate, and the crash that I heard was the cat trying to get to the window, and the cat's right here. And it jumped on the couch, fell off the furniture, knocked the cushions off, and I had some of them sitting up vertically because it had rained. But it was trying to get to the window. And as much as that freaked me out, I was like, you know what, fuck it. So I opened up the curtains, because I wanted to see this fucking cat. Turned on the deck lights, opened up the curtains, and this cat was looking through me. Like, it looked like it wanted me dead. And so immediately, shut the curtains, cut the cameras, absolutely the fuck not. And if you know me, then you know that I am the first person to take in a stray animal. Whether it's a dog, a cat, like, you're coming home with me, we're figuring it out, and, like, we'll find you a home, or we'll take you to the shelter, whatever. But having all of these previous events in mind, because this happened August 5th. This was a few weeks ago. Having all of these previous events in mind, I will be damned before I am bamboozled by a skinwalker cat. Absolutely not. And, like, all of this shit could be coincidental, like, because my worst fear is it being some kind of Appalachian creature. I would much rather it be a ghost, because that is way easier to deal with. Like, I'm not experienced in that, but I feel pretty confident that I can handle a ghost. If it's a creature, I'm fucked. Granted, I haven't heard the typical, like, whistling, someone calling your name, like, all of that, like, spooky Appalachian lore. But I have heard whispering, I have heard talking, I have heard shit turned on when it's not on. Like, I heard the TV on the other night, and I came out to turn it off, and it was off. So, to me, that speaks paranormal, but all of that, like, with the cat and the handprint, and then, like, whatever it was, either coincidental or not, I don't know, but following me to my friend's house and listening to me tell that story and then doing it again that very night. So overall, it's either a ghost, or it's a creature, or I have both of them, and I just drew the short straw. Whatever. But maybe I'm just being naive, but right now, I'm just gonna treat it like it's a ghost and go from there. Because I cannot handle it being something else. I don't even know what I would do. So, if anyone knows a witch, hit me up. Like, it's spooky, but I'm in this lease until May, so I gotta ride it out. Okay, so just to clear the air, it is not a person, it is not my landlord, and I will tell you why. So first of all, the attic. I have been in the attic, I've looked in the attic, and I've never even heard noise in the attic. But the only thing in the attic is insulation and a catwalk. There is nothing up there. Number 2, there is nobody getting in through the basement because I don't have a basement. I have a crawl space. My house is raised up, and there is a crawl space underneath the house, and I've been in there, and there's nothing. That leads me to my third point. Because my house is raised up, the windows are very high off the ground. In order to get into my house through the window, you would have to have at least a 15-foot ladder. Also, if someone did come in through the window, I would know because I have seals around all of my windows. When I first moved in, I had a bug problem and I had a draft problem. So I put seals along the windows, and it is not possible to open up the windows without those seals being disturbed, and none of them are disturbed. Regarding my landlords, they are very nice people. Him and his wife, I've never had an issue with them. They've always been super kind to me, super helpful with anything that I've needed. I just think they didn't disclose that information to me because they want me to renew my lease. Obviously, if they tell me that, oh yeah, by the way, someone died and the house is haunted, I'm not going to want to renew my lease. And they've told me before that this is one of their harder properties to rent out because it's so tucked away. And they have multiple properties. But they don't want to have to look for a new tenant, which I completely understand. So I don't think they were being super shady. I just think that's the reasoning behind it. As for the cameras on the inside of my house, I have them set up so that I can see movement anywhere throughout the house. And the problem is they only pick up on movement with animals and people. So if a cup moves or a pillow falls over or whatever, it's not going to pick up on that and it won't start recording. I can open it up and see a live view, but by the time I heard the crash, it had already happened, so I don't know. Also, the cameras that I have notify me when a signal is blocked, and they're not turning off because of bad signal, so I know that nothing's blocking it. And to my next point, the cameras are mine. I installed them, I pay for the subscriptions, they're my accounts, my landlords don't have access to them, nobody has access to the cameras except for me. So, no. And to my final point, if anyone is stupid enough to come out into the middle of the woods and try and break into someone's house, especially out here, good luck. So in case you missed it, I'm being haunted by some kind of spooky woo-woo shit, and this is part 4. It is not my landlord, it is some kind of fucking creature. Let me explain why. My neighbor who lives on the road from me sent me this message. I'm gonna read this aloud for the class, so just bear with me here. So this is random. I was on TikTok just on your video about the print on your window. Up on my For You page. My jaw dropped because I've been trying to solve the mystery how I got a huge long finger handprint on the outside of my bedroom window. And then she goes on to say, you can fingerprints in the because there's no way to get on the backside of the window to clean it. So touch it, it leaves a mark. My bedroom on the second story. I don't have a staircase ladder or a deck on the side or any way for somebody to get high up. I also have cameras on 4 sides of my house. The day after this happened, I checked everything, I could not figure it out for the life of me, and it was one hand. Fingerprints are so it is so creepy. It looks exactly like I posted a picture of. I have lived about 10 years and have not experienced anything other than that. I wanted to share it with you. It felt so relatable. We're just down the street from each other. But I took a picture, but it's see it during the day. My bottom left. She attached pictures. Hey. So this first picture, see it right here, like a giant hand. Like the fuck. And then the second picture, which is a little bit. But, like, it's the exact one. I fucking tell me. Sorry. And I asked what happened. Curious to the same time. I'm sure 8 months around the same that it happened. So, I don't know if big lurking around or something. Coincidence. I also posted. She replied, "Oh, I'll try." Giving out there. Agrees it. So, I mean, the one.
Oh, 100%. It is something in those woods in Appalachia. Maybe a little bit of the spirit of the man that lived there before, but it's Appalachia. I mean, I feel like when you move there, you have to expect that weird things are going to happen. I don't doubt anything that was said that this user experienced. And quite frankly, it all makes perfect sense. The one thing I think is fishy, though, is the landlord not being upfront about the situation. I mean, I guess, like, I understand. It sounds like wherever this user lives in Appalachia, the state doesn't require deaths to be disclosed. But as I mentioned in a previous video, I absolutely think that deaths need to be, like, should be required to be disclosed in every state. And I feel like hauntings should also be disclosed. You know, there are some people that will be like, that's garbage, like, ghosts aren't real. And that's fine. But I feel like it should be mentioned just in case. You know, like, I'd like to have the option to be like, no thanks, you know. I understand that that's not what landlords and realtors want. They want to sell and have people sign leases, but I'd really like to know if my house is haunted before moving into it. Our next TikTok's for the user Chrissy the Lioness.
Hey y'all, I have another spooky story, and this one is about my mother. I was in high school, and it was right before lunch, and I got a call from the office to come down that my mother was here. And I'm thinking, what is going on? So when I get there, she's looking at me all wild-eyed, and she's like, "You're coming home with me." So I'm thinking there was a family emergency. So once we get in the car, she looks at me and she says, "I can't go back to that house by myself." I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "I was laying on the bed taking a nap, and she was the only one there. My brother and sister were at daycare, and my 2 stepbrothers were at school. My stepfather was at work." And she said, something just prompted me to wake up. And she said, when I lifted my head, she said, right by the bed was standing like a little ghost girl. And she had on all white, a white long gown, and all black long hair. She said, and when we locked eyes, she just floated behind the bed. She said, and I froze a bit. She said, and then I immediately got up and got my clothes, got my purse, and came straight to the school to grab you. And so, of course, when we get back to the house, I'm scared. I don't even want to go near her room or anywhere in the house as that, for that matter. But we never saw the little ghost girl again. But that was my mom's encounter, and she immediately grabbed me from school.
This would absolutely be me as a mother. Something creepy happens and I'm like, hey, so I have to pick up my kid for a doctor's appointment. I can't imagine waking up from a peaceful, wonderful nap and there just being like a little ghost girl standing right there. I would freak out. Our next TikToks for these are the bonehead.
I see that. This is the 3rd time I've come through, and this is exactly how I've seen them. 3 times now. I think I'm going to bed now.
Absolutely not. That is so horrifying, and I hope to God that this is not a real video. If I saw that in my house, I would be booking it out of there. I would leave everything behind. I'd scoop up Oscar, and I would leave everything else behind. Because what do you mean there are, like, glowing-eyed ghost children sitting in my living room? That does not scream fun, happy, bestie ghost to me at all. That is horrifying. Our next TikToks for these are Amanda Jojo XOXO.
What I saw last night had me standing in the middle of my yard praying over my property. Now, I'm not usually the one for spooky tales, and I'm not usually the one to even admit that there's another side, because it creeps me out. So I need your opinion on this. So last night, on every night, around 11:30, I take my dog out. And last night, when I opened the screen door, I literally saw a black figure shadow from the end of my car glide. I would say glide from the end of my car all the way to this gate. And then I couldn't see it anymore. Now, I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. It could have been an animal that was casting a shadow from the streetlights, right? But my dog seen the same thing. Had it been an animal, she would have chased after it. She literally walked to the edge of the porch, stopped, then walked to the driveway, stopped, and stared down the driveway. When I seen this, my heart dropped into my stomach, and I had goosebumps all over my body, and the hairs on my arms stood straight up. Now, this gate right here always stays shut with that latch because of our animals. It was jarred open last night. So I naturally walked down the driveway, didn't see anything. No animals, no nothing. But I was so freaked out that I stood in the middle of my yard and prayed over our property. Now that thing came from my vehicle, and I'm scared to death to get in that vehicle today. So we're going to say a prayer over the vehicle. But I want to know what you think I saw, because I know for a fact I seen about a 4-foot tall shadow. It was rounded at the top, and it didn't run, it glided in a hurry.
It sounds like there is some kind of shadow figure that was hanging out on the property. And as soon as she came out, it realized it was like caught or had been seen and headed out of there. I'd be freaking out. Quite honestly, like, nighttime pee breaks are the scariest pee breaks, because I'm like, what if there's a ghost? Or like, I feel like I'm going to be judged for this, but when there's a full moon, sometimes I'm like, what if there's a werewolf out here? I'm like literally in the middle of the Chicago suburbs, like surrounded by people and things. And I'm like, what if there's a werewolf that comes out of here? But maybe that's just from me watching Teen Wolf too much. That was a wonderful show. I'd definitely be so freaked out if I saw that. I mean, my first assumption would be that it's a person, but the gliding tells me that it is not. Our next TikTok's producer, Tati's Creepy Stories.
Quick story time. So I took my son to Five Below today. As we're getting ready to leave the store, he runs out towards the parking lot. So I yelled at him loud, like, stop. And he turns around and goes, Mom, I'm just kidding. Like, I would never run to the parking lot. And then I hear a man on this side say, yeah, because you don't want to die, in that tone, in a very thick southern accent. So I look over and I see him sitting on a bench, and he's like very elderly, African American. He has a hat on. He looked very nice, very sweet. You could tell like he was blind because his eyes like weren't straight, but he was looking right at me. And I was like, yeah, we don't want to do that. And then I grabbed my son's hand and I kept walking. We were going to a store right next door. When I looked back, that man was no longer sitting there. I asked my son, do you remember that man that just said that just now? My son had no idea what the hell I was talking about. He didn't see anyone.
I think this is actually kind of a cute one. It's like this old gentleman, ghost gentleman, is just chilling, relaxing at his local shopping center and is having like an interaction with people, warning kids about safety. To me, there's like nothing scary about that. I'd absolutely be mind blown if that happened to me. Like, are you kidding? Like that wasn't real? But I think that this is actually such a sweet story. Our next three TikToks are by the user Catrion Balafeston.
I forgot to talk about this in my introduction, so y'all are gonna have to forgive that some of my story times are just all over the place. When we first moved into this house, weird stuff happened with the computer. I remember one of the very first nights that we lived in this house, literally like the first week, we got one of those spam emails that were like really hype at this point in time. You open your email and it was like one of those curse emails. It's like, once you open this, you have to send it to 7 other people in order to avoid the curse. And it was a picture of a guy in a forest, and next to him was a ghost. She had a white dress, she had long black hair, a pale face, almost reminiscent of the character from The Ring. And the spam thing was like, someone's watching you, send this to 7 people, or she'll find you. Well, my Maggle did not believe in that. So she didn't send that to 7 people. And me, being a child, was like, oh my God, we're gonna die. You gotta send it to 7 people. We didn't. Maybe we should have. Because then maybe we would have avoided all of this. Because the Ouija board, I still don't know how we got a Ouija board. That is still a question. I still don't know who had that. Did Emily have it? Did I have it? And if I had it, when and how and why did I have it? So I'm bringing it all back to the spam email. So if you ever get one of those, send it to 7 people. Make it somebody else's problem. Because otherwise you're going to have demons in your house. There was also one time that I was on the computer. We had dial-up internet. You 90s kids know what I'm talking about. If you had to deal with dial-up internet, you are God's bravest and strongest soldier. We had dial-up internet, and I was trying to log on to the computer. I was home alone, completely alone. I was home alone a lot for my age. Mom, what were you doing? Why was I home alone so often? Anyway, I was trying to get on the computer, and it's doing the dial-up thing, but through that, I hear a voice say, hello, I'm here, hello, I can see you, hello, I'm here. And I tried to reason with myself, and I was like, okay, it's dial-up. It's connecting to somebody's landline, somebody's trying to get through, but then it started laughing, and then the voice dropped and got deeper, and it kept saying, I'm here, hello, I see you, I'm here. So I did what any logical person would do. I turned the computer off and went outside and touched some grass. Yeah, so I had ghosts talking to me through my computer. I had a ghost talk to me on the phone once. That's a different story time too, because it has nothing to do with this house. It's just I talked to a ghost on the phone. I would also feel this thing watching me in my bedroom. So like I said, I would bounce back and forth between each bedroom. The first bedroom that I was in, the one that we used the Ouija board in, I would feel this thing watching me from the corner of the room where my closet was. And when I had my bed up against the window wall, I felt it less. But when I moved my bed across the room to where I was like cornered with that corner where I could feel it, that's where I felt it the most. And I would feel it watching me in there. And so I would move to the other room to feel safer. And I remember I was a weird kid, and I would like put on concerts by myself. The movie Ice Princess had come out when I was in this house, and I remember pretending to be an ice skater in my room, and I would put on music and like dance around my room and pretend I was an ice skater. So I would be living, laughing, loving in this room. I would be feeling so good in this bedroom. This bedroom was a bit bigger and it had a bathroom in it. And I would be dancing and like singing and whatever. The same way that I felt this darkness come over me the first night that we were in this house, I would feel it again in this room. I would be living, laughing, loving, singing, dancing, doing ice skating. And then I would feel this darkness come over me. And I could feel that there was somebody in the room watching me from that bathroom. And I remember every time it would happen, I would just stop dancing. I would turn off my music. I would stop doing whatever fun thing I was doing. And I would just like almost go into a shell and just like get really quiet, get really calm. And I would just go sit on my bed, turn on the TV and watch TV. Because again, I had gotten used to this thing being here. I had gotten used to knowing, okay, it's here. And when I would feel it watching me, I wouldn't feel like I had to leave the room, because up to this point, it hadn't done anything to me. It just made me uncomfortable. So I would just stop doing. Honestly, I feel like I was more embarrassed that it was watching me pretend to be an ice skater. So I would just be like, okay, we're done with that. And I would sit down and watch TV. But in this room, I moved the bed around a lot. And there was one particular way that I had my room where the most activity happened in this room when I had my room. And I say this because I think the way that you feng shui your room might have something to do with the energy that you bring into it, or allow to like move around your room. I had my bed up against my door. So the door was here, my bed was here, my closet was here, the window was across the room, and the bathroom was to the left. This was when the most crazy stuff happened. This was when I would hear growling coming from that bathroom at night. I would be asleep and I would hear something growling in the bathroom. And because of the angle that I was at, I could see just like a sliver of the bathroom, and I would feel this dark shadow, just this dark shadow figure crouched in that bathroom, and I would hear growling. So I don't know why I chose not to move my room around after this, but I didn't. I had a friend who would stay over, and she said that she would feel some weird vibes in the room when I had my bed in this layout, but she wouldn't feel it as much when I had my bed in other layouts of the room. So something about your head being against the door and like facing the window, those vibes were off, and it was not a good time. This was also the room where I heard the person running up and down my hallway with the sticks. It was in this room that I heard that happening. And at that point, my bed was on the other side of the room. So this room was kind of safe. I heard the growling. I felt the presence. I felt the shadow figure. I knew the shadow figure was there. My friend felt sort of an uneasiness in this room. But that's about the most that happened in this room. The other room, the one that we used the Ouija board in, that was the room that was the biggest problem. This room was relatively safe, which is probably why I was in this room the longest. And to be completely honest, I don't know why I switched rooms. I don't know why I went back to the other room, but I did. And I stayed in that other room until we moved, and that's where a lot of the bad juju. That's when the shift happened when we got to the end of us living there, that's when it started to get really angry, was when I was in this other room. So one of the times that I heard this thing move around my house, and I'm pretty sure this was the soldier again, my mom and my stepdad were at work and I was home alone, and I cleaned the house and I laid down to take a nap, and I did something pretty uncharacteristic for me. I laid down to take a nap without turning the TV on, but I did, and I laid down and I went to sleep, and I woke up and I heard my mom and my stepdad come in, and they walked in, they put their keys on the table, and I heard them pace the kitchen and open the cabinets. And they were walking back and forth in the kitchen and opening the cabinets, and I was like half asleep, so I didn't think anything of it. I just thought that they were getting ready for dinner or something. But the reason I make a point to say that I didn't have the TV on is because I know that it wasn't something on the TV. The TV was off. There was nothing else in the house to make sound. So I woke up, I thought they were home, I went back to sleep. I didn't get up, didn't lift my head, didn't do anything, just went back to sleep. Then, a couple of hours later, they come home. And this time I do wake up. And I'm like, what are y'all doing back? And my mom goes, what do you mean? I'm like, y'all came home and then you left again? Where did you go? And she tells me, no, this is the first time we've been home today. We've been at work the whole time. And I'm like, no, I heard you come home earlier. You came in, you put the keys down, you walked around the kitchen, like, you already came home. And she thought I was insane. And she goes, nope, we have not been home. This is the first time we've been home all day. I'm pretty sure it was a soldier that I heard because of the pacing back and forth. That's what makes me think it might be a soldier. But I have no idea. I just know I heard it come in and walk around the house, and then my parents came home. And so, again, the comfortability of just living with this entity. Crazy how comfortable I was with this.
Now, if you remember, I've shared some of her TikToks in a previous video. This is kind of an ongoing story that I'll be including throughout my next few videos because she has so many TikToks telling stories. But it really seems like whatever entity this is took a huge interest in her specifically, which I would hate if I was her. And as she's saying all this, it sounds like this was all brought on by playing the Ouija board. Well, I guess when I say all, that's incorrect, because it seems like things were happening since the first day that they moved in based on her previous TikToks, but definitely I think things were exacerbated by investigating with the Ouija board, and, you know, that's never something you want to do. Our next TikTok is for the user MegsRN, another haunted hospital one.
So I worked on a haunted floor in the hospital during COVID. They had just opened up a floor that had recently been shut down the year prior. They opened it up because we were getting overflowed with COVID patients. Keep in mind, this is a locked unit, okay? It is still the old L&D floor. You can only badge in, or you have to be buzzed in, or come by the main elevators, which shut off at 10 o'clock. Like, you could not get off on that floor past 10. Nobody had been on this floor as a patient in well over a year. So me and my coworker, we'll call her Candy for the sake of the video. Get down there's 12 patients. She's got 6, I got 6. We kind of tag team them, and we get all our stuff done. It's about 11:30, 12 o'clock. Okay, we're up there at the nurse's desk, and we have a PCT with us that night, thank God. 11:30, 12 o'clock, charting, going on, and we hear a big boom, and it sounded like somebody fell. We look at each other. I look at her. She looks at me. She looks at me. I look at her, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And our little PCT was like, guys, did you hear that? We were like, yeah. We go down the hallway. Where the noise came from, okay? And when you get to the end of the hallway, it forks. You can either go left to the old laboring rooms where women would actually give birth, or you could go right and go to the NICU. When we get to the fork, we're just kind of listening, like, where the fuck did that noise come from? And all of a sudden, we hear a and keep in mind, it is dark and it is creepy. There is no patients down this hallway, haven't been in over a year. So we walk into the NICU, and we count, I shit you not, we count 27 teeny tiny little baby ventilators in the NICU department, okay? They hadn't been touched in over a year. They had like a 1/4 inch of dust on them. They had those plastic sheath things on them. None of them were plugged up, okay? But one of them in the middle was working. It was on, and it was working. There was no alarms going off or anything on it, but it was like it was giving a breath. So anyway, we move those around. We get that one machine out. We turn it off, okay? Put everything back in its place, and we're walking back up to the nurse's desk. And as we're walking back up to the nurse's desk, we noticed that one of the, like, what we, I guess, be considered a freshly postpartum room was open. The door was open when it was closed. And we just, all three just kind of looked at each other like, what's happening here? Somebody fucking with us. And so when our PCT went to grab the door handle to close the door, the rocking chair on the inside was rocking, consistently rocking, continuously. And we were like, oh shit. And we were like, maybe it's there. Maybe it's there. Maybe there's an event there. No, there wasn't. There wasn't. We moved the chair so we couldn't see it when we walked by that door. But anyway, we latched that door. Okay, we latched it. It closed. We pushed on it. You could not open that motherfucker. So about 4 a.m., I get up and I go to the bathroom. Okay, and it's towards that same hallway. And I'm like, whoa, who opened that damn door to that room? I holler back at the girls. I'm like, hey, one of you bitches been down here? When y'all open this fucking door? Fucking with me? And they were like, no, Megan, there's no patients in the door. There's no need for us to go down there. And I was like, well, what the fuck? I go in there. That fucking rocking chair's back in the same goddamn place that it was before. I got a bunch more of these stories, and we only worked down there together for like 2 or 3 weeks. There's a shit ton of stories.
It is kind of sad thinking that this is an old labor and delivery floor and it's haunted. I mean, to me, the NICU monitor going off is like, it's like a ghost monitor of a ghost NICU patient. Obviously, anyone losing their life is incredibly sad, and the fact that hospitals are so haunted because of the amount of loss of life that happens there is sad amongst the scariness or like spookiness of it. But specifically, realizing this is a labor and delivery floor and there's some activity going on here. It's sad, but it's like, it's spooky sad, and then also it's like, it's spooky for the people who are working there. Yeah, I mean, hospitals have crazy amounts of energy. I don't doubt that every hospital is some degree of haunted. Our next TikTok squeezer, the Green Manor. Oh, if that were me, if I was in a haunted old home and the power went out, I don't care how long the power's out, I would be locking myself in one singular room and sitting with my back in the corner and waiting for those lights to come back on. That sounds like not only just a horror movie waiting to happen in the paranormal sense, I feel very vulnerable, like I'm in a slasher movie or something on top of it. I'm not a big fan of the dark, so when the power goes out, it is not my favorite moment. And being in a haunted home, I think that would send me over the edge. Our final TikTok of the video was by the user X Paranormal Playground X.
I think it's a little bit open, a little bit slow. False escalators and a function place. Number 9. Mr. Mel, you hear us. Number 9.
I love Peter. I think he's cute. I think he very much gives my friend Gregory over here. Same vibe for sure. I love his sweater as well. Also, it seems like he's for sale. She drops her eBay at the end. I don't know if he's still for sale because I've had this video saved since August. Okay, I guess August was not that long ago. Feels like a long time ago. So regardless, I don't know if he's still for sale. It shows her eBay, which is Paranormal Playground. So if you guys are in the market for a haunted doll of any kind, whether it's Peter or another one, I guess there you go. You could probably see them in action on her TikTok before buying them, which is pretty fascinating. I personally do not want actual haunted dolls in my house. I mean, we have Raggedy Ann here, which is the same type of doll that Annabelle was, but she is not haunted. This one is absolutely not. She's just here for the vibes. And then we have Gregory here. That was an Etsy find, but he's like made. He's not like a haunted doll that had something put in him. He's like, the artist makes a bunch of these dolls, and I thought he was adorable, so I bought him. So, for the record, I do not have haunted dolls. I do not want haunted dolls. But if you were in the market for one, I guess check out Paranormal Playground eBay. And I think Peter is really adorable. I just prefer my adorably creepy dolls to be non-haunted. But that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on any of the TikToks I showed, which one was your favorite, etc. Please, as always, tag me in any TikToks you come across that you want me to include in a future video. Please check out my TikTok and my Instagram for spooky special effects makeup looks, especially with October coming up for my 13 Days of Strotober series. If you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I will pop a couple of video suggestions on the screen for you to watch next. Click the subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I post every Sunday and most Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. And with that being said, again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.